The concept of malpractice, though, has evolved over the years. Even in my lifetime, I think I've seen changes in what's considered malpractice and what
Sure.
isn't. But how did this issue of malpractice even evolve? Has it come out of old law, English law, or where did it start?
Yeah, even prior to that, I think the first mention of it that I'm aware of was about 4,000 years ago, almost 4,000, in the Code of Hammurabi. And there's about 280 laws in there. One of them relates to doctors, that if a doctor harms a patient, the doctor should be punished, in the words of that code, because they didn't make a big distinction between criminal problems and civil wrongs. So that's how it started. My personal opinion is that the Hippocratic Oath also is referring to that in part. It's the key defining characteristic of the doctor-patient relationship. But the first thing it says is, first thing, do no harm. It doesn't say first thing, heal. It doesn't say first thing, try your hardest, do the best you can. It says first thing, do no harm. Don't make things worse than they already are. There's a recognition that bad things happen to the human body and in life, and doctors are not supposed to make it worse. And I think that's a recognition of the possibility that a doctor doing the difficult things that doctors do can make things much worse.
Yeah. What's interesting to me is that in Greek, in the time of ancient Greece, physicians were held with such high esteem, almost godly, almost, if I may. And it seems, and I know
and that's changed now? You think that's no longer so?
I think it has certainly changed, but it's hard to imagine they would have instituted laws of malpractice against their gods, at the time. But I know they did. I know.
Right, and I think they talk about their gods, about Apollo and some of the, at the time of Hippocrates, that they ask for Apollo's blessing.
And certainly charlatans have been around forever.
Sure.
And the public should be protected against them. I
Right.
certainly understand that.
And it's still true at times, sure.
Do you think that, can you tell me about how the way malpractice is practiced in the United States versus it's done in other countries? And do you think there are better ways that medical malpractice cases can be adjudicated?
Well, there's a lot of waste and inefficiency in our system. There's a lot of cases that are brought that are not meritorious because, we lawyers do the best we can to understand the medicine. That said, though, I'm a big fan of the jury trial system, both for medical malpractice cases, legal malpractice cases, and all. That's our system. It's in our Constitution. The juries generally, about 80% of the time, do a spectacular job. I've tried cases to judges occasionally. I avoid that whenever I can. One person sitting and listening to you, I think, doesn't do nearly as good a job resolving what actually happened as a group of people. And so the juries work well. I know doctors don't think that. You may not think that, Simon, but that's my take on it after 35 years of trying jury trial cases.
Well, it is our system. That's who elects our president, current president included. But one hears about these extraordinary cases on the news about a woman who lost her psychic powers after getting an MRI scan at Temple University and sued and won. Or this woman who burned herself on coffee and sued McDonald's. That's not medical malpractice, and you hear about these extraordinary awards being paid out. And it makes us somewhat skeptical about the whole process.
Right. I think there's two answers to that. At the margins, there's always odd things happening. There's plane crashes. Generally, flying in a plane is safe, but that's how I look at some of these cases that come out so crazy. The other thing is that they've been sort of weaponized by our political environment. So the McDonald's case, if you actually saw how the case came out and what the case was actually about, you wouldn't be stunned that the jury was furious at McDonald's for serving such hot coffee thousands of times, burning thousands of people, and all that woman wanted in that case was, could you pay my medical bill? She was in the hospital for 8 days. It was not an insignificant burn. It was a horrifying burn. It involved skin grafts and the rest. And McDonald's offered her $800. Her bill was about $10,000 or $20,000. And then she sued. And McDonald's had been warned, that their coffee was too hot and it would burn. It was burning people, and they thought people like hot coffee. It's good for marketing.
We don't know all those details, though. That's not what you hear.
Right, because it's been weaponized by Fox News and others, and with an agenda to say tort reform has to happen. The jury trial system is out of control. Juries are terrible, and they're not.
Yeah.
I can tell you from the front lines, they're not.